Welcome back to the Observeday podcast, the show where we explore the meaning, stories, and impact behind the days we celebrate and remember around the world. Today's episode is inspired by National Read a Book Day, but this conversation goes far beyond reading. We talk about survival, healing, resilience, and the kind of stories that change people from the inside out. Our guest today is Alicia Rush, author, speaker, cancer survivor, and someone who has lived through unimaginable hardship and came back with purpose after surviving cancer, medical trauma, abandonment, and moments where life nearly broke her completely. Alicia transformed her pain into a mission to help others rebuild after devastation. She's the author of The Good Kind of Cancer, Turning Pain into Purpose, and her message has impacted audiences through podcasts, speaking events, and even the Los Angeles Festival of Books 2026. This is not just a conversation about books. This is a conversation about the stories that keep people alive. Alicia, welcome to Observeday podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. National Read a Book Day is all about the power stories. And I want us to start with what books or stories helped you survive during your darkest moments?
Oh, well, I've survived in my darkest moment was the thoughts of taking my life. I was more than once I was ready to take my life and end it. And the last time I turned off my location, and I live in the mountains, so I went to the woods and I took all my medications with me. And I was ready to call it a day. And I looked at my phone and it was October 27th and it was my son's birthday. And I thought, what kind of a mom would leave their child with this kind of a scar for the rest of his life? And that's when I said, okay, it's time to knock the crap off and figure this out. And that's what I had to do.
We're starting at the deep.
Yeah. It was a enlightening moment.
Yeah. And for me, I'm just, what would have happened if it wasn't his birthday? Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? I probably wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah. Your book is called The Good Kind of Cancer. Before becoming an author yourself, did reading ever become an escape or emotional lifeline for you? Because in your story, you said you had a point where it was like, it's time to figure this thing out. I mean, things are hard, things are difficult, but we have to fix and deal with what's going on.
Yes.
What happened next? I mean, of course, you had to leave the woods and find your way back home, but
yes,
what happened next?
I started to advocate for myself with my doctors. I had a tracheostomy, which is a tube that goes in my throat that helps me breathe. And I couldn't swim anymore because any water I could drown. So now at 51, 52, I have to be monitored when I showered because, again, water. My whole life changed. And so I started to advocate for myself. And I found a doctor that did not believe in having the tracheostomy, that it was not necessary. And I dug and I dug and I dug, and I went to a doctor first in Orange County. And he said he couldn't help me, that he could send me to his colleague in Los Angeles. Yeah. So I got in with Dr. Odell, who's an otolaryngologist, and she told me 85% of tracheostomies are not necessary. She did a series of surgeries to open the airway, and she was able to remove the tracheostomy. I got rid of the tube in December 2024. So I just had to get up and keep moving forward.
Do you still feel pain there?
No, not at all. There's a scar, but there's no pain, nothing.
Yeah. Because the reason I mentioned that, sometimes, it's feel as though you've been stressed when you talk. So I'm just curious to know if you feel pain when you talk.
No, it's just that vocal cords are paralyzed.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have to stress my speech a little bit. Yeah, to get the pitch and the volume, but it doesn't hurt.
In the timeline of the story, at what point did you almost commit suicide? And because a lot of things have happened to you, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to connect the timeline of what came first and what came before or after this.
Yeah. It was October 2023 when I when I was planning to commit suicide. I was 50 years old. I turned 50 in August of 2021. And I have this thing to where, like, I can usually see what's next in my life. I turned 30, I could kind of see a path. I turned 40, I could kind of see a path. I turned 50, and the weirdest thing was, wisdom is, I saw absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I looked at my husband and I said, am I going to die? And he says, no, you're being ridiculous. And less than 6 months later, I found out I had cancer, and thyroid cancer. The doctor kept telling me that it was the good kind of cancer. That's the title of the book. And that, then I can wait for surgery because I had the good kind of cancer. I don't know what cancer is good. I was like, this guy is nuts. He made the good kind. He made me wait 6 months until I finally put my foot down. And by this time, I was throwing up blood. I couldn't eat. The mass had grown. And when he finally got in there, it was stage 2 and it had spread. So, in the process of removing the thyroid, he paralyzed my vocal cords, which is something he had never done before. I died on the table and my lungs collapsed. And this was in June of 2022. And I was supposed to just have a routine surgery. I was going home that night. I woke up the next day from a medically induced coma because I couldn't breathe on my own anymore. And my life spun completely out of control after that day.
It's a lot happening too fast.
Yeah.
Things are just changing too fast. It's like,
yeah, there's been no normalcy, no routine in my life for the last 3.5 years. It has been chaos, and not only the cancer, but family issues as well. So life doesn't stop revolving and moving forward. There are still other issues on top of this massive weight that has just happened. And so he had me wait again about 1.5 months, and he finally realized that I needed a tracheostomy. And unfortunately, he did that on my 51st birthday. And it has been hard to celebrate my birthday every year, but I need to start because I am no longer in that space. So he put in the breathing tube on my 51st birthday, and a little backstory, and it's in my book. I had and my stepdad, Paul, was a firefighter, and in a fire, his lungs collapsed. So he was a breathing machine, and he had a tracheostomy as well. But he couldn't, he was bedridden, he couldn't move. And we took taking care of him and watching him as my mom would go out and do what she had to do. And I was in the 6th grade, and it was my turn to watch my dad. And that day, he chose to shut his machines off, and I found him dead in his bed. And when I got the tracheostomy, I thought, my God, this is my karma. I killed my dad when I was a little girl. Here is my penance. It was hard. It was so hard.
Have you forgiven yourself now?
Yes, I have. I had to. I didn't do anything wrong that day. He chose not to be here, and it just so happened to be me that found him. But I didn't.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It was hard. It was hard. I lived with the trach until March of the next year. Very difficult. PTSD, trauma, Scared to leave the house. Couldn't see anybody because I was so embarrassed of the tube. I would tell myself how ugly and what a monster I was on a daily basis. It was awful. It was just the time of my life. And then the next year, 2023, in March, the doctor took the tube out, and he ghosted me, and I couldn't figure out why. He wouldn't take my appointments. I lasted about 2 months, 2.5 months, and I was taken back to the hospital because the trach should have never come out. My airway was shutting down, and I literally had days left to live. So I had to make a choice to get a trach put back in or die. And I looked at the doctor and I told him, I'll take my chances. And he just shook his head and he goes, I can't believe you're being this selfish. I said, because the trach had a band around my neck that never comes off. So how do I live with this thing attached, strapped onto me? And it felt like I was just, in this cell, like this itty bitty.
Yeah.
And he gave me about 30 minutes. And I thought of it. I thought of my children, and I went ahead and got the trach put back in. And when I came out of it, they told me, you will never speak again. The damage has been so vast that you will never speak again. And I thought, why did I do it? I mean, your voice is your identity. And I went about 3 weeks without a voice. And one day it just started to come back. So I beat the odds, and my voice came back. So I've had about 10 surgeries in 3.5 years. I died twice. They've brought me back. My lungs have collapsed. I've had blood clots on my lungs. I mean, everything you can possibly think of. The cancer was going to kill me. It was everything else. It was a journey.
Do you ever feel like you're living on borrowed time after all those incidents? Like this life you're living now, it's like a gift, a bonus, a package. You're living on extra time. How they say it in football matches, soccer matches.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't part of what was supposed to be. Like you're supposed to be gone, but now you get to leave. Do you ever feel like that?
Yeah, I do all the time. And then that's when I realized I have a purpose in all this, and it is to help others. That is why I went through and am going through what I have been. And a lot of people don't get to figure out their purpose. And I enjoy every day that I can. I don't always have good days. I'm not going to lie. I have days to where I still do the why. God, why is this happening? Why did this happen? I'm tired. My body's not the same. I don't have the energy I used to because my airway is so small. And I have days that I stay in bed, and I tell my followers that that's okay. Because if you don't stay in bed, or if you don't grieve, or if you don't feel the loss, then it just gets stuffed down. And when something else happens, it's even bigger and you feel even more loss. So I believe that you need to feel that pain you're going through. You need to stay in bed. You need to turn off your phone, whatever it's going to take to get you through that moment. Do it, but don't stay there. That's the secret. Don't stay there.
Yeah. You mentioned that you realized that this was a purpose. And when you had that realization, that's okay, yeah, being alive is an opportunity to share this message, to inspire and to help other people who are struggling. What was the first minute thing you remember yourself doing towards doing the purpose? Now, if the question makes sense. Should I rephrase?
Yeah. I started writing a journal is what it was at first. And I was writing what I had been through to kind of help process it all, the trauma, the PTSD. And I realized in that moment of writing that this could really help someone else. This is why I've gone through what I've gone through.
Yeah.
Let's turn this into a book and let's help as many people as I possibly can. And in that moment, I knew I have a purpose. I'm not just a cancer survivor.
Did putting your words on the journal, putting your experience into words, did it ever feel overwhelming or triggering? Because now you had to go back into those moments in order to bring it down to the words.
Yeah, I have a beautiful patio out front, and I live in the mountains, and I would write at night. I'd go sit on my patio and type, and my husband was in the house, and he could hear me cry. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm processing," and then he would hear me laugh, and then he would hear me just sob, just uncontrollably sob as I'm writing this story that I've lived. And it brought back so much emotion and fear that I didn't realize I was still carrying a lot. So writing it really helped me process what I went through.
So writing the book was significant in your healing journey.
Yes, very much so.
So the book first changed your life before it changed the people who bought the book and who read the book. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And I just actually today, I just finished the second book. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I am writing the second book, Life After Cancer, What Nobody Likes to Talk About. So it is the continuation of my journey where I left off.
Yeah.
So, there's after cancer, people are like, "Great, you're in remission." The phone quits ringing. People don't stop by as often anymore because life goes on.
Yeah.
But we are still scared as cancer survivors. We feel that little ache, or we feel that little lump, or we're not feeling well. We still are going to doctors. We still are running tests. We're still getting poked and prodded and scanned. And, but life for everybody else goes on. And for us, we're still in that chaos of this can come back at any moment. What do we do with that? And that's something a lot of people don't talk about.
You talk a lot about purpose, and how can someone begin rebuilding purpose after life completely falls apart?
You have to remember or remind yourself what made you happy before this. I tell people to journal, not in the bad times, but in the good times. Yesterday my son graduated from the emergency medical program. He is an EMT. He'll be working on the ambulance. And I'm very proud because he has had his own journey in battles. But it's moments like that when you feel like I have no more purpose. I'm done. You've got to remember those moments because that is what gives you that spark to move forward. Journal what made me happy today. Write it down. When you're in the darkness, open that journal, read it, remind yourself. Whatever it is, I felt the sun on my face today and it felt so good. I got to play with my grandkids, or whatever that moment of happiness was, write it down. And when you need encouragement, go back to that journal and open it up. Remember your purpose. Remember why you're here.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This has been such a lovely and inspiring conversation. And thank you for sharing your story.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Where can listeners learn more about the two books and also connect with you?
They can find more information. You can follow me on Instagram at Alicia Rush 77. Facebook is Alicia Rush. You can email me at aliciarush@outlook.com. And I have a landing page. It's www.thegoodkindofcancer.com. I do send out a weekly newsletter to my followers that want it. And you can just DM me, message me your email address. It is just encouragement. It's journal prompts for you to start journaling and helping you heal. And I have tools that also, you can put to use when you need the help.
Yeah. Well, I will put a link in the description so the listeners can click and go directly to the site. Thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing your story and for rebuilding after the chaos.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. That's it for today's episode of the Observeday podcast. Thank you for spending your time with us as we explore today's observance. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend who'd love to celebrate life's special days too. Don't forget to join the newsletter at observeday.com/join for more observance stories, tips, and updates. Until next time, keep finding meaning in every day.